Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 84.
4. Yeah,
Not 3.
schedule's wrong. Yeah,
Get the schedule up on screen. The wrong one.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, dude. It's fine.
Okay.
This is gonna be
How
a
you
good one.
doing?
This is gonna be a
Welcome.
good one. We actually
We got something to
Diablo
talk
3
about.
content to talk about
What?
tonight.
You
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. I can't believe it.
Diablo 3 news?
After years of
Insane.
silence. Wait. It feels like years. I don't know.
It does feel like it wouldn't. I guess it would have been last PTR.
Yeah.
Patch notes we got, which
Yeah.
is 3 months ago. I mean, it's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get through these polls real quick so we can just jump straight into the
Yeah.
choose.
So these polls are juicy. So again, guys, vote if you haven't. We'll spam it one last time. So last week we asked, should Diablo 4 have charms? In case you've been living on a rock, and maybe this is your first podcast, charms were a thing in Diablo 2, where it's basically just a item that would sit in your inventory of varying size, like a 1x1, I think to like a 1x4, and they would just give you stats. And some of them could be pretty powerful, like build, not build defining, but very, very strong. And last week we talked about how Diablo 3 once upon a time had like a little talisman slot, and you could equip up to 12 charms inside this little talisman slot on your inventory, which was pretty cool. And when they might have the assets somewhere, and we kind of were pushing for, hey, let's add this back to the game or something. But should Diablo 4 have charms is the question we asked. Option 1, yes, charms were hype. Option 2, no, leave my inventory alone. What do you vote?
Implementation matters a lot on that, but I'm going to say, yeah. I mean, more customization is a good thing if implemented properly. If it just turns into a meta thing where you're like Bane of the Trapped, for example, where you're just always throwing the same thing in there, it's a bad idea. But I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt and say that they implement it in a cool way. So yes, vote yes.
Okay. Me too. Charms are hype. I mean, you don't have to take up the inventory for charms, because like the talisman thing, but just for the sake of this argument. Yes. Voting. The Diablo community is so divided. It really is.
I'm surprised no one. I'm really surprised at that. So,
but it's pretty close. It's 58% of the vote says no, leave my inventory alone, and 42% of the vote says yes, charms were hype. Man,
interesting, guys.
The hell's
Feedback for the devs, I guess. It's a small sample, but a sample nonetheless.
True that. But yeah, and so the question we're asking for next week is something I've been curious about, right? Because you guys know me. I love Necro. So 2.6.8 doesn't include any changes for your favorite class. Will you still play it? Yes or no? Well, wait.
Interesting. Can't we talk about that until next week?
Yeah, next week we could have patch notes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that could be very topical.
Yes, it
very
could.
topical.
Interesting.
It's not very topical. Okay. But yeah, on to the juice.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
The juice. So today they post D3 Developer Insights Balancing and Class Set Design.
Okay.
And this thing, there's a lot to unpack here. There really is.
Yep.
So much.
It starts off and they just go straight into like, well, I'm gonna jump down. I can't. So I'll let you go ahead and start it. You start off on the easy because I want to instantly go into the Paragon talk.
I mean, that's the first subject. They talk about Paragon and greater levels. You know, they say we've done a ton of balancing. Data comes in many forms. Basically, the things they touch on, the big bullet points here, and this is a little, I don't know. They say none of the data should be taken in a vacuum. It all comes together to paint such a bigger, constantly shifting picture. Here are a couple of things that we consider. One, individual performance and their Paragon level. With the sub bullet, says Paragon level directly impacts a player's long-term progression. It is important that it is accounted for when comparing different points of data. 2, the intended design and in-practice functionality of each class set. What does this set do best? Is a clear a lot of small monsters, or is it a good Rift Guardian killer? Or does it have a support role? Is it better a group of player over solo? Does it need to do something different? And then they go on to say these are the things we want to avoid in overall class balance. And this is the part where I think they kind of could just contradict themselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, 1, seasonal buffs and their impact on overall power. We want to design fun, engaging seasonal buffs without worrying about how they impact class balance. Data from non-seasonal players is especially helpful here. We'll just stop right there.
Okay. That's good, because I want to hit some of these points already. So the way that I read this, I read seasonal buffs and their impact on overall power reads to me as, oops, we want to design fun and engaging seasonal buffs without worrying about how they might impact class balance is, again, whoops to me. I think this season was not intended to do what it did. I don't think that they thought the seasonal buff was going to be manipulated as easily as people are manipulating it and as powerful as it turns out to be. And I think that this is kind of like saying, yeah, we're not going to worry about that for real. And it makes sense that they're not balancing around seasonal buffs. But I don't know, man.
I don't know that I agree. I think I mean, maybe you're right. Like, they didn't know, but they definitely had all the data they needed to know from everyone that was testing on the PTR. Like, people were basically, they were pushing the monk and crusader to crazy levels with just the kill streaks before they were patched, right? Like those terrible first revisions.
I think they were like, oh, we're going to pull this back. And I don't think they pulled it back enough. I don't think they pulled it back as much as they intended to pull it back. I think that I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like the seasonal buff is crazy this season. And that's kind of what we asked for. You know, we kind of asked, like, throw balance out the window. Let's get something crazy. And they gave it to us.
Right.
I don't think they initially intended to give it to us.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to again. I don't
know. That's not what I got from this. I kind of got from this, like this season the power was all over the place, and like we kind of gave you as much power as you could possibly handle and expect, kind of crazy shit in the future from seasonal buffs. Like, seasonal play won't necessarily be balanced probably ever, is what I got from this. And that's why they say, I think they drove home like, oh, data from non-seasonal players is helpful because non-season never has these crazy buffs.
Yeah.
But the problem I see with this is twofold. One, usually no one's really pushing that hard non-season. Usually the best players are playing every season and pushing as hard as they can on season, because that's usually what matters as far as competition is concerned. So, like, you can there's good examples of this. Bloodshed brought one up on his stream where, he's a pretty good wizard. On non-season, he's got he's 2 GRs behind his best seasonal push with 2K less Paragon or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, it's just you're not really going to get an accurate representation probably of a set's true power by looking at non-season. And 2, this kind of, to me, I read this and I'm like, oh, if I really like a set and I'm a good seasonal player, I am never ever going to push non-season. Because why would I want to get my set nerfed?
Right. I mean, that's also a factor you could throw in there for sure. And then on top of that, me personally, I only play season. I don't give a rat's ass about my non-seasonal characters. I don't care about them. You could delete them right now. I wouldn't even be upset.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter to me. So if there's never going to be a decent balance in season, then I guess I can shift the way I play the game and play what's power that season. And maybe that continuous cycle will change enough to where I'm playing new things and trying to keep it fresh. But if let's say that I'm a guy that only likes Necro, a la you, then Necro is always getting shit on by seasonal buffs for whatever reason. Let's just say a string of seasons don't really benefit Necro or it's not fun. Then what, okay, I guess you're sitting out for 6-9 months. If they did 2 seasons in a row, that's 6 months of my favorite class is at the bottom of the heap.
Right.
So I think seasonal buffs should have some consideration when you're balancing. I don't feel like you could change the sets around it, but I think the seasonal buff should have sets in mind when it's being implemented and conceived.
I don't
You
know.
know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, but
I don't know how you get around that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I would hate to have a seasonal buff shit on specific classes or specific sets
I'd
that
rather
people
them
really enjoy.
focus more on making a seasonal thing like fun than worry about like how does it affect every class. I don't know.
Do you think they're gonna go away from power and try to go with fun? Like, because fun and power don't have to be the same thing.
True. No, I think that I don't know. There's definitely probably more fun in power.
I agree that power is fun.
I don't know.
But maybe I don't know. I don't really have any good ideas that come to mind
because
off the
fun
top of
to
my head that
Reddit
aren't
is
power.
double goblin, and that is not fun to us. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You can't just keep throwing power though. Like you can't just you can't turn God mode on and then next season give us 2 times God mode. Like it doesn't work like that. You have to.
This is going to be an interesting season, right? To follow up kill streak season, it's going to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
But I don't know what you do about the seasonal buffs interacting with sets and balance.
I think you don't care. I agree with their mentality here. Whereas like, well, non-season doesn't have the buffs. So that's what we're going to look at to aggregate our data.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks that like that's the only place they can really look at. If they do these seasonal buffs, like that actually affect a character's power, then they can never use the seasonal leaderboard as a means of balancing. They have to use non-season. So that makes sense. It's just, my concern is 1, best players don't play non-season. And 2, if you're a good player, you're not going to go push non-season now, ever, because you don't want to get your set buffed or nerfed.
Right.
So like the data is going to be skewed. But anyways. And then so they go on to say, like you just said, some buffs may be better or worse for different classes, but season effects are temporary and we're okay with this. And then a direct one-to-one class comparison. While we want every class to perform similarly, it is important that classes retain their unique fantasy. Each class should be able to accomplish similar goals, just in different ways. And so basically their mantra is a GR 130 solo, that assumes at Paragon 5000.
Yikes.
So, I mean, does that kind of, because last week you and I talked about how I think the dream mix is 120 at 3K. I'm curious if that's close, because I don't know the maths. I don't know how much damage like 1,000 Paragon gives you.
I don't know. 5,000 Paragon is a lot. I feel like.
Yeah. They should. What they could have done? Sorry to interrupt, but like, so they want to say 130 at 5K Paragon. Everyone's like, oh, 5K Paragon, like that's not even possible in a season. Like that's crazy. Well, this is just like a number. Like they could have said like GR 110 at 1,500 Paragon. And that's the same like approximation.
Yeah,
I don't know. So I don't get
if they have ways to skew the math to average it for your Paragon, then that's fine. I think 2,000 is a healthy number that a lot of players relate to. I think that's achievable for even average semi-casual players over the course of several seasons. And most of your non-seasonal guys, like I'm not 5,000 in my non-season. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a lot of time in the game. Are you 5,000 in your non-season? I don't think so.
Probably would have if I hadn't lost my account.
So
no, I'm only like I think 38 or maybe 4K. Now.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm probably close to 35, 4K ish. I don't know, but it just seems like that's a lot. But that's okay. Are there that many? Maybe there's math that supports that there's a shit ton of people over 5K. Maybe 5K is just a great number, a great balance of Rift, or maybe that's the high. Maybe they're saying like this is the top echelon. If you get 5K, you can do 130s. That's what we try to achieve.
Right.
So.
But again, I think
break down the math.
The point gets a little lost because people see that 5K, they're like, oh, but they could have just said like, okay, 1 GR 120 at 3K or 2K.
3K, whatever.
That would have made more sense to a lot more people. I think it's just what they picked.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But I think maybe they were shooting for the upper tier because I can't imagine there's a ton of players over 5K. If you took your whole player pool, it's got to be like what
1%.
Maybe top 1%.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so maybe that's what they're trying to show here is like the top 1%. This is what we want you to hit.
Yeah.
So,
but this is the most promising part of all of it from here. We always hoped, they kind of somewhere they kept an Excel spreadsheet that was like, hey, Necro is only doing like an average of 122 or something like that, and Barb's doing 130, Crusaders do 138, right? So they break it down, and they show the GR average of these 5K Paragon players. What's their average aggregate GR cap, basically? Again, assuming all these 5K players are pushing, which is probably not the case, but but yeah. So Barbarians 130. Crusaders 138, DH 125, Monk 130, Necro 123, Witch Doctor 130, Wizard 130.
That Necro's looking pretty good though,
Yeah.
A lot of this, and they even say this in there. They say a lot of it is because the classes are underrepresented right now.
Sure.
Because the new sets and the new juice, other classes, like people don't want to play it, and that makes sense. But it is cool that they track it. And so like a lot of people still play Demon Hunter and it's only, it's 6 levels low.
Right.
Witch Doctor's 10 levels low. Necro's 12 levels low. And so that's cool. So so if we go by this, I would hope the next PTR we're going to see Barbs and Crusaders brought down, Monks brought down, and Demon Hunter, Necro, Witch Doctor brought up. Wizard seems to be pretty good.
According to this chart, Witch Doctor, Wizard, Barbarian, and Monk would all stay the same. And Necro would be buffed. DH would be buffed. Crusader would be
I was
nerfed.
looking at the seasonal when they had under it. I guess that's scaled. So yeah. I see what you're saying.
So and the reason, like, this is the part that's confusing. Like what you just said. It's like they're like, well, we don't care about seasonal. And then they go on the show like the seasonal
stuff. So it's like the seasonal theme added 5 levels to Barb. Is that what? That's how I took that. Exactly. It's like, okay. But it took away 2 levels on Crusader. That doesn't even fucking make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know.
So, like, when I'm looking at this spreadsheet and I'm like, okay, so that just shows the inconsistency in the player math that people, I don't know, like people aren't pushing on season as hard as they did non-season, or how could they lose 2 greater rift levels with a seasonal theme help?
I mean, there's so many Crusaders. I don't know.
Same for Necro.
But again, this is like a season. Like, how many seasonal characters are 5K plus Paragon? So it's like it could be an average of like 10 players.
Yes, that's true. If they're only doing that, but I thought that they had the math to balance out and do the average and scale up or whatever. Didn't they say that somewhere in there?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe.
But again, like what we're alluding to is like this. Like they say, like, okay, we're not considering for power, and especially not this season because the power was so evident. And then they show us this thing, and I feel like it's caused a lot of more confusion than it's helped to like drive home the point. But yeah, and so again, if we go back to this chart above, which is a super important one, right? So we can see here, Crusader is going to get a nerf probably if they're doing everything on this chart. If they don't, here's my thing. If Crusader doesn't get nerfed, if DH and Necro don't get buffed in this next patch, why'd you show us this?
Right. Is this a roadmap? you know?
I mean, it could be like, this is what we're doing in the long term. Like, and then we'll eventually bring up those.
Yeah, this could be a roadmap too. It's just, I'm with you, man. It's a little confusing on what this means and what are you showing us? Like, why are you showing us to us and for what? But if, like I said, if we get the patch notes and it looks like those classes got buffed, then cool.
Right.
If they're gonna fix, well, I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
The only thing that I'm immediately flagged by as soon as I read this post is I like what they're doing in the sense that, like, okay, we want all classes to be bounced around this like thing, but that's the problem. Classes, no. Okay, sets. Okay, we shouldn't have. You look at this chart, Monk's 130. Like, oh, Monk's in a good spot. No, one Monk set is doing like 130 consistently. It's not all of them, so we need to get all of them up to that level.
Yeah,
that's the problem. And I have concerns that like maybe that's not a priority for them. Because if they're just like, okay, cool,
Well, that's your fantasy of ultimate balance.
Sure.
That doesn't exist.
Now, I don't care about ultimate balance, but like you would think, based on this data, they'd be like, well, okay, Crusader's too powerful. Like, let's step it down. You could use that same logic on every single set in the game. Like,
I would
push
think,
build's too strong.
The way this is going to happen, I would think, is like they're going to try to get one set, the top performing set from every class at 130. And then once that's achieved, then they're going to address, like, they're just going to grab a new set from every class and try to get that to 130. And then grab a new set. And I think it'll be these waves of set balance, which could be okay because that could give us something new to play on the seasons. Like, oh, they just buffed Natalia's and it's been shit for so long, and now we can do a 130 also. So now there's options and choices. That's kind of where I think they'll go with that. But I do agree. I think that you can't just wash your hands once a set is at the level and everything else is underperforming.
Right.
Because then you're just making all the other sets garbage and nobody ever wants to play them. You don't care. You're trashing the pieces. So you have one set. A class is just a set, and that's it.
Right. I'm a big advocate for, like, all the sets. Like, they have the data, and I don't want to be like, oh, just change the number, but, like, increase the power. If it's not doing this, the 130 at 5K Paragon, just increase the power. And if you overshoot it, fine, nerf it next season. But, like, just give us all the sets. You've worked hard on all these ways to play the game in sets in Diablo. And we hope that, Diablo 4 is not a set-based game. But Diablo 3 very much is, right? And so you've done all this work to, like, have these different playstyles. And, like, they just fall behind. And it feels bad. So, please, all the sets, not just the classes. But, yeah, and so they go on to talk about how, 1 to 2 GR levels, they consider, like, very close, probably fine. I kind of read this as, like, okay, if it's within 1 or 2 GRs of that 135K Paragon, we're okay with that. Like, we don't really care. We're not going to touch it again. And that makes sense. I'm down with that because that goes back to, like, if every set was within 1, 2 of each other, that's the dream. That's pretty good. Right. 3 to 4 levels is that warning zone. We need to watch buffs and nerfs in this area, but action may not yet be necessary, but it should keep an eye on it. And then plus or minus 5 warrants significant change. At this range, it's clear something is over or underperforming and needs to be addressed, which is great. So if we take that logic and we go back to the chart, Crusader is 100% getting a nerf, DH is 100% getting a buff, and Necro is 130% getting a buff.
Necro maybe's getting a buff. It kind of there's the asterisk on the 5 or more. It says unless Necro.
Right. Sure. Unless Necro fluff.
Necro's got Z characters, so we don't care. Yeah. See Necro.
I'm curious though, like, to say, okay, obviously Necro's underperforming. What does that mean? Like, so maybe next season, like, they don't want too much juice. I think the easiest thing is like a straight buff to Pestilence. I don't know. I have concerns that, like, what would they do? Like, maybe, like, LOD Mage is the top performing Necro build right now. And what are they going to do? Like, buff the Scythe of the Cycle and bring that build up? Because I think that's more dangerous.
I think Necro could use some Barb Love and get, like, some revamps on some sets, but I don't think that's coming soon.
Right.
I think the quick fix is number balances, like you're saying. Just use Pestilence up.
Yeah.
And then, you're kind of wiping your hands until the new Necro set comes out, whenever that is.
Which hopefully means more Necro stuff, right?
Yeah, because then new Necro set's going to be like, okay, this is the most powerful set now. We want people to play it. It's going to hit that 130 mark and maybe be +1, so we're okay with that. But, so.
Yeah.
We'll see. And that could be this patch.
Sure.
Maybe.
So, Frankie,
I don't think so.
If you're looking for something, it's super easy. Just buff Pestilence at the end of the day for next patch, and then do all the things. But yeah, the GR 150 cap, we already knew this, which is kind of a trend with a lot of the stuff. A lot of the stuff's just like, well, we all kind of assumed this is what was going on. But it's nice to have, like, an official, like, word on all of this,
right?
And they talked about this before, but they literally can't do more than the 150 cap. And I saw a lot of people tweeting like, "Oh, I'm so glad with their decision to like not go over the 150 cap." I was like, I don't know if it's like they literally just cannot go over the 150 cap. Like,
yeah, and a lot of people are complaining about it too, and have been forever. Like, just raise the cap, just raise the cap. And we've been saying forever it's a performance thing. Yeah, I don't think that's the solution either way, though. It's just like T16s. Like, what did T16 really do for the game?
Just
let us farm less rifts to get greater rift keys. That's give us more death breath. Like, that's it. It didn't. And this is something we talked about before it was implemented. Everybody's like, give us T16s, give us T20s, whatever the case is. And I'm like, it doesn't really do anything for the game. It just forces you into pigeonholing these sets.
Makes it worse.
Until they buff the sets to make them even more ridiculous. And then you just want more T levels. So it doesn't really fix anything, I don't feel like. Is it nice having T16? Sure. I don't have to do as many rifts to get keys now. You know, is that a good thing? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. I don't want to play as much as I used to. So, you know, I don't know. So raising the cap above 150 would have the same effect. Like, sure, those guys that can't hit it, you know, most of us aren't hitting 150 anyways. And those guys that are smashing the 150s, like, so they raise it to 160. It might give them, you know, that top 0.1% of players a new target to achieve. But if they reduce everybody down below 150 anyways, you still have a target to achieve. You know, I don't see what it really solves for you.
Right. And they go on to talk about solo versus group design. I did like this little tidbit. So they said the common misconception is that we balance the game solely around 4-man groups. While we certainly take that into account, group play is not our only focus because not all players enjoy playing in groups. We want to make sure that the content we design can be joining for most players. So our design decisions should take both styles into account. So that's good to hear. And then they go on to talk about something we always talk about. ZDPS. ZDPS builds. And they actually go on to say, like, it was kind of a point of contention, like, internally, whether or not these ZDPS builds should really exist. And at the end of the day, they decided, like, sure, they're not going to go out of their way to, like, facilitate more ZDPS builds or to give these builds, like, more items and options, but they're fine with them being in the game, basically.
What do you think? Are you fine with them being in the game?
I don't love it. I think that a big reason, you know, some of these groups can get to the 150 mark is because of support builds. And I know that there's those players that just love the support role. And I don't know if that's because, like, playing the support class is just easier and, like, no one wants to do it, and so they feel like needed, or it's kind of like playing a healer, I guess, like a really easy to play healer. I don't know. So there's that.
I agree with it. I think it does a couple things to the game. I personally don't like it. I don't mind playing it. I've played it and it's okay. It's fun, but I don't like it because this game wasn't conceptually designed from the ground up with support characters in mind. I don't feel like. And so it feels like a half-ass support character job. It doesn't feel like you're really supposed to be doing that. And then, so mechanics, like, don't seem to, like, they're not clear. They're not always working. And then on top of that, this game's about smashing monsters and picking up loot. And you're not smashing monsters. You're smashing keys, but you're not smashing monsters. And it's, I'm not really a huge fan, although I do play it and it's okay. I don't hate it, but I think the game would be better without it.
Personally. I agree.
So, but a lot of people do like to play it because they don't have to be the guy that plays 24/7. They don't have to be the guy that plays 22 hours a day for 6 months straight to get the Paragon to complete the rift. They can be the guy that just jumps in and heals and then still gets the loot and then you know, the recognition or whatever else comes with it.
I would love to see them figure out a way, and you kind of brought it up in the Q&A panel at BlizzCon. I'd love to see them, like, I would love for your skills to interact with each other's, but not in a way that, like, I'm your healer, like I'm your support character. Like, we're both doing things, and because we're doing it together, we get bonuses,
more stuff. Yeah. I think that would be the ultimate for D4 is if they had interactive skills. You know, you're playing, and they even showcased it in Diablo Immortal to an extent, although it was self. What do they do in Diablo Immortal? They put the ice brick down,
and he shot,
and then he shot it, and it split. But that was the same character. But
it was yourself,
do interactions like that with
each other, right?
Yeah, wizard puts a frost brick down, and then I don't know, man. You could have
Barb leaps on it and it shatters.
Yeah. Crusader throws a shield into it or something. I don't know. It'd be cool, like a bomb.
Yep.
Do it.
But also on the opposite side of that spectrum, I don't think the SSF is going anywhere. I don't think that the demand for SSF is going anywhere. So I still think, although they're like, oh yeah, you'll be able to play Diablo 4 by yourself. We're not going to force you to group. That's a great thing. Mm-hmm. But you look at your Diablo 3 community. Diablo 3 is that game where you can play in a group or you can play by yourself. Obviously, you take a massive disadvantage, and that's what they're looking to kind of, quote, cure in Diablo 4. You don't really have a disadvantage by not grouping, so they say. But, like...
I don't see how that could be a thing.
Right.
There's got to be one. There needs to be one.
Sure, maybe. But people that play alone, like, the people that are begging for an SSF, like, just do it. It's not going anywhere. If anything, PoE is making it infinitely more popular.
How do you think with the open world design of Diablo 4 they're going to implement SSF? I think that solely is the reason they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Is because you're in a shared open world.
Right.
That's always going to throw you into server lobbies with players. And if they do SSF,
they would have to like world bosses, right? I don't know.
Yeah, they would have to instance you off into your own thing. And exactly, world bosses, other mechanics that we may not even know about. The game fundamentally, like PvP, they could just be designed in a way that's like you can't support SSF.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I do agree that SSF is huge, and I think they will lose people if they don't have it.
Yeah.
But if they can make the game fun enough that we don't care,
true.
That's the thing that like people will be pissed. They just have to make sure that like it's the multiplayer is so intuitive and fun that people want to do it, So,
but again, if they're selling the game, so we sit here and like we immediately see like world bosses. Well, that would be a huge advantage in the group, right? But they say like you don't have to group. So you would think that
it's because those other guys are going to show up and help you kill it anyways,
right? But you would think that like I don't know. If they're like really selling, oh, you don't have to group, you can do this. You play this game completely by yourself, like that. You would somehow
maybe that's the goal. Maybe you get powerful enough to solo a world boss. Maybe that's the thing. SSF. It seems like a huge disadvantage, but if you're showing up and you're supposedly playing SSF, and then all of a sudden 4 new dudes show up in your world environment and help you kill that boss,
I feel bad.
It's not SSF anymore.
Right.
It's SSF-ish. But
sure.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
But maybe that's an easy fix for them, and they can just like instance away and give people their own lobbies and servers, and I don't know. So.
Yeah. And then, also something we keep touching on week after week, they talk about, quote, creative game mechanics and animations, which basically, they talk about your bazooka wizard mechanics, the stutter stepping that we keep talking about on the Crusader week after week, on the Recorder Barb. And they do want to disable animation canceling, which is, I think, great. It is more work, obviously, to do this, which, good on them. But, so you take a look at that chart and it's like, Crusaders are at 138. Okay, well, if you nerf stutter
stepping on Crusader is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Barb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Barb's not as bad. It is
the animation canceling into the wall. That's insane.
Yeah, it does matter some, but you're gonna smash your face into a wall anyways because you need the enemies to group up on you. So
sure.
like it's kind of faster. It's not gonna like totally change the way the game plays.
Do you think they could do that? They can't nerf animation canceling on the Crusader and not nerf Raycore.
They need to if they do, but then they have to buff Raycore to compensate for sure.
And the same thing with Crusader, right?
And Crusader's probably going to be nerfed too. Yeah. But I'm still not as upset as that as I am. Like the animation canceling, I think is cheesy, and it sucks that you have to do it because I think it's mechanically annoying as fuck to try to smash keys like that. But Bazooka Wizard is just straight garbage. It's like macro only.
Yeah.
It wasn't intended. It wasn't designed. Like you did not intentionally design Bazooka Wizard like that. And the timing is like 4 frames of animation or something ridiculous, you know? Think about that for 4 frames of animation. That timing is so tight that it's not feasible by any person reliably over and over and over and over. Like Lex does it. I've seen him do it.
Right.
But it's not 100%.
Again, and that's like
a
high-end player. And he's like, "Oh, you can do it. You don't need use the macro guys, but like, your average player, it's probably even after you're like holding his hand, man. Like, this is how you do it. Like, he's still not gonna probably be able to get it.
It's just not. It shouldn't be a thing. It wasn't intended. So like, why is it still there? So I hope they break it. But from reading this, I feel like Crusader is gonna get broken, and I don't feel like Bazooka Wizard is. I really feel like is going to make it. I hope not.
I don't know. To me, that they missed the proper nerf on the bazooka. It still feels like it's coming. They just have to figure out how.
Yeah, I don't know. You think so? You think that they have it? You think that bazooka's getting it?
I hope so. I think that. Yeah, I think it. From all the things we've read and all the blue posts I've read, doing the research for the podcast over the past couple months, it did feel like they're like, our intent was the nerf bazooka. And like we didn't really hit the mark.
Yeah, no, I agree with that they missed the mark. I don't even think Bazooka Wizard in concept is a bad idea. I think it's actually really fun to play a Star Pact Wizard. And I think when Tal Rasha Star Pact was a thing, I played that and I manually taught myself how to do it, and it took a little bit and it was fun. I think that style of play can be fun, but I think they should intentionally design something like that to where it's not like 4-frame timing. It needs to be like you can have.
Isn't it like it's almost like double COE, right? Like I hate builds where you're just waiting for like this really tiny window to really do your damage.
Your group and mob, so your high area damage, and your group and packs of mobs. You're dropping an arcane meteor, and then the meteor has like a 1 second delay time before it hits the ground. And in that second, you have to channel to get arcane power, and then you have to cast to get arcane power, then channel to get your whatever the offhand item is, or the weapon that gives you the damage buff when you're channeling. And that you have to do all those things before the meteor hits the ground in your element, and all these things line up. But when you see that quadrillion damage pop up on the screen and everything on the screen disappears, super rewarding, and it feels really good. But I think that they just need to design, if they want to have it in the game, they need to design something around it that the majority of the player base can get behind and play, even if it's a 1 second timing is 60 frames versus 4 frames.
I still don't know, because I really hate that, and it's become such a thing in Diablo, is where like you have this build, and when you're pushing the boards, you gather up this huge packet density, and then you wait for that window where you're gonna hit your COE rotation, and then like hit your big cooldowns. All happens in unison, and then that's how you play. And then so you're not a necro, you're not doing anything else for like the next 12 seconds. Like it just, I really dislike the windows of damage.
I think that some sets shouldn't have it. There needs to be a balance between it. I think Pestilence, for example, has that cold cycle. You're waiting for Cold Dancer. You're waiting for that cold cycle, and that's that's the way it plays, and it synergizes around that. It's okay, but not all of them. Like COE doesn't need to be in every single build.
Right,
Bane of the Trap doesn't need to be in every single build. So I'm with you, man. I agree with get rid of some of the damage windows.
Right. But yeah, that's kind of the TLDR. They kind of tell us we appreciate your feedback. So if you guys have stuff to say about it, post away. But yeah,
try to post constructive comments. If you post this is shit, PoE's better, whatever the fuck, that doesn't help, man.
No.
So if you legitimately have some valid input, if you post it in a constructive way, they will probably read it. I would say very, very likely they'll read it.
Right.
So do it,
Right. At the same time, you trolls on the internet, this is kind of an early fluff hates. Okay. This is something I've seen so much of since Diablo 4's announcement. Is these white knights coming out of chat. I don't know why. and being like, oh, you shouldn't talk about because you don't know shit, right? Like you don't know all the things, like so you don't know all the things that like go into like this post or blah blah blah. And it's like we're literally like they're asking for our feedback, and we're giving it to them based on what we see. And then people are like, well, you don't know all the details, so you shouldn't fucking comment on it. And like I just see so much of that since Diablo 4 has been announced, like so much of it. You can't escape it on the internet. It's like, well, this game's not even out yet. Why would you even comment on it? Because they're asking us to.
Yeah.
So enough of that, Twitch chat and people of YouTube. Jesus.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy. Drives me literally crazy.
It's the internet's. Give me your overall. You're stepping back. Yeah. What's your 1 mile take on this? This post, man.
Obviously,
good, bad, like initial, like
yeah. To me, this is all like pretty obvious info and something like I feel like, we coming into this, there's not a lot of surprises for me, but it is good to kind of hear it from Blizzard's own mouth that this is like what their plan is. It felt like that's how they're pushing the game and the direction that they were going, but it's good to see like in words, like this is what we're doing. So I really appreciate that open line of communication. I'm all for that. I love these kind of posts. The only, and I'm with it. Like I'm down, there's to me, like it's tough to measure based on non-season, but like that's the best data that they have right now because they still plan on making seasonal buffs. Probably pretty crazy going forward. But again, my only big red flag is like they say classes, like we want all classes to do this instead of all the sets. And so that's where I get like, ugh, like that's not super fun. Because if you don't like Pestilence but you love Necro, well, like you're never really gonna push because like that's the only set that really pushes that high, and that feels bad. So
I agree. I think that's great piece of feedback to give them. Like I don't think that the majority of the player base would be okay with a set being that 130 and everything else just kind of being way below or all over the board.
Right.
I'm sure they probably realize that. That's kind of the same. So my overall, when I step back, I was super excited when I saw it. I'm like, okay, cool. What are we gonna get? And for me personally, I kind of already knew some of this information anyways because we got to network a lot at BlizzCon.
Sure.
And so when I was like talking to people at BlizzCon and stuff, like some of this stuff was kind of like, well, like somebody had said to me like 130 is what we kind of try to balance, what we aim for. So I kind of I didn't know like that the 5,000 Paragon and stuff was kind of going in there. But so to me, it's like there wasn't a whole lot of new stuff. It's clarification on things that I think, make sense and tell them why they're doing it. But it's it's kind of stuff that I knew, and it's cool. I want to see the new sets and the PTRs and things, but it doesn't seem like this to me is just like we're gonna do we're not raising the cap at 150. We're trying to balance everything at 130, and that's kind of what I took from it.
Sure.
It's like, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Again,
but I guess a lot of the community may not know that info, so that's
again, I don't think that we'll see crazy amounts of content being added to D3 at this point. But again, to me, and maybe you don't agree, people in chat, but the best thing to me they could do for Diablo 3 is walk away from it as like a balanced game. Every class can do this, and there's a lot of fun speed farming builds to play, and the game's just fun. Like maybe it doesn't have all the content there is in the world, but you paid $50 for it like 10 years ago. So like, what do you expect? I guess I don't know. So yeah. I mean, we would all love to see more content being added to this game, but I think at the very least, if they left the game before Diablo 4 and like all the sets did this, like
balance,
fucking great.
I will say that I appreciate the amount of effort it took to make this because there were multiple teams. I'm sure that they probably have data analytic teams that have to get the numbers to the devs, and the devs have to crunch the numbers to figure out what's underperforming, what is performing. And then they have to go through some kind of management to get it to the community managers, to get it to us, to get it localized and formatted and all that kind of shit. So the amount of effort that it takes just to give us, like, just so we can know what the fuck they're doing, I think is kind of crazy, But it's cool that they did it for us. So I hope that I hope we can get something like this for in the future. Like, let's say the PTR drops. I want information like this on the class sets and the balance changes they make then.
Yeah.
Like let us get some of this info.
Sure.
When you're like, okay, so we're buffing Natalia's and we're gonna change the 10,000 damage bonus to 75,000 damage bonus because this set has been performing at like a greater rift 105 and the marks 130. So we think that this, like those kind of numbers and things, we can use this, I guess.
Totes. Yeah.
So it could be cool, but we got some juice. There was something, I don't know if you have the schedule up. If you go to the next one, I threw something in there. There's a post that I think is a little relevant to this.
Forum post from Nemesis?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. So, is that it? No, the one below that in the schedule. But what it says is, does anybody have an idea when we expect the PTR? And she says, yep, wait for it soon, trademarked. I guess that's poking fun at the Blizzard soon. But it says, in parentheses, just having fun. We're aiming for next week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So there is a little bit of a timetable, I guess, for PTR. I was assuming after this blog post that we weren't going to get it for a couple weeks.
Really?
But it looks like maybe next week we'll get it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then are we going to get 1 week and then downtime in another week? Or are we going to get 2 weeks of PTR? Like, what are we getting?
I feel like
those kind of details would be cool.
Yeah. Last time I feel like we got, was it like a Friday and then we got PTR Tuesday or something like that? I don't remember. It was fast. Either. It was a fast turnaround.
From what, the patch notes?
Yeah. I feel like maybe even that.
So you think we're going to get patch notes Friday?
I don't know. I don't think there's any consistency about any of this.
I think next Tuesday we'll get notes, and then maybe a PTR will just open up in the same day.
Maybe, or maybe they listen to the podcast and they're trying to maybe stagger the Diablo season a little bit later with the PoE, and so it's not hitting.
So when is the next PoE league supposed to? They're on a 3-month cadence, right?
Yeah. When did the PoE league start?
Like, is it like 3 months on the dot, or is it fluctuate a week or two?
Pretty fucking close. Minimum start date.
So let's figure this out real quick.
December 13th was the start date.
Was when it dropped. Okay. So if we do the 13th, so 1 month. So March 13th.
March 13th.
Okay. And then that would be, and then the Diablo season started November 22nd. So it should be dropping roughly around February 22nd.
Yes, that's that's too close. So that would give us.
So if they delay, that's gonna fuck us even more.
Yeah. So they have to be faster.
Yeah, they need to be faster, man.
No, look at this. You're right, because say we get it next week.
Yeah.
And they already said we're gonna have 2 weeks for this PTR.
Yeah. And
then it could start the 25th, assuming this happens next week. Well, no, they would probably need a week or two for the season. We could have the seasons line up this time.
To be on the same day.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that would not be good, man.
Rip.
So what did we just say that PoEs is going to be? March what?
March 13th would be the end, and so it could be like a week after that until they start the next one. But
so man. They need to stagger this. I would be okay with them just delaying this season an extra month.
Yeah,
because and I don't even play PoE. I'm saying this purely from my community.
Yeah,
because when PoE hits, man, the Diablo directory is just dry. Like people don't show up in the clan, people don't show up in the communities in game. Like you're sitting there like, oh man, I need a ZDPS or I need a Z monk for metas, and it's just like crickets. You know, so
and those first 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of this league or this season were awesome.
Yeah, they were juicy.
PoE season hit. I was like, wow.
Yeah. So that's some good feedback, man. If you guys in that are listening to this podcast agree, give that feedback. If you agree, give the feedback. Like I'm going to, I'm going to post on there and say, listen, try. That'd
be great. But all it takes is one of the games delaying a week or two, and then they get closer together. That'd just be really hard to coordinate. But it would really suck for them to be within like a week. Like that's the worst.
And see, here's the thing. Here's the thing they got to look at. Like you can sit on their high horse and like fuck PoE. We're Diablo. We're the king shit.
Sure.
And PoE could say the same thing. Like, we're the best ARPG right now. We're gonna do what we want, and Blizzard can adjust around us. Sure. And both companies can say that. But the reality is like these devs are making new sets in Diablo, and they're working hard to make these new sets, and they're probably getting graphic artists to like make these, and people are actually designing and coding the new skills and all this shit. And like if you drop on the same week or the week after, then what? Like all that hard work is just getting kind of shit on a little bit, And so it's more than just what there's a lot that goes into the timing cadence, and I feel like so yeah, I hope it's considered,
right?
So,
and I think I feel like I'm a pretty good example. Like I didn't want to not play the Diablo 3 season anymore because I was having a good time, but just the Metamorph hit, and the Metamorph was massive. Like it was 2 updates in one, and it's just like it's game changing. So it's like, woo, like how can you just taste it and walk back? We'll go back to D3 after. I don't know. It's too hard. So
I'm with you. Let's get that cadence down.
I would love to get that cadence down.
But yes, and so they've been a little bit active on the forums, and I say they, I mean Blue Posts. So they're talking about stuff.
Nevertheless, was pretty active on Reddit for the actual like balance post. So a couple things she says to touch on them quickly. One guy says, TIL, my Paragon 1000 levels are child's play. And she says, I wouldn't think of it that way. I generally average 600 to 800 Paragon a season before I stop to avoid burnout. But I do think people who are regularly hitting 5,000 Paragon tend to forget that your accomplishments are more in line with the average player experiences. It's still important we make our changes based on both types of players, but I do think it's easy for players like you or me who average 800 to 1K to believe that they should be performing as the same as someone 8,000 or higher because their build is referencing blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's not new news, but...
That's a valid point, I feel like.
Sure.
I mean, if you're Paragon 1,000, you should not be anywhere close to people that are 2,000 or 3,000.
Right.
It's a lot of main stat you're missing.
Right.
So, and not only that, just random loot. Like to get to 800 now, you can do that in a couple hours. I mean, I think I power leveled somebody to 600 in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they're Paragon 600, but since they got carried and power leveled through it, they got a fraction of the drops that they would have gotten had they done that solo.
Sure.
So they don't have access to the ancient items. They're not going to have the gem leveled up for any augments on any of those ancient items and things like that. So, and their gems aren't going to be high level either.
Right. And then she goes on to say in another post, why are some skills vastly underperforming? Blah, blah, blah. And she says, skills are a bit more finicky to balance and tinker with, whereas items are a lot safer from a design quality risk perspective, which makes total sense. It's really easy and fast to disable an errant item if something goes wrong, as I've discovered from tinkering with my own projects. What's under the hood typically works differently than you might initially anticipate. As for a squish, this is something we talk about, right? Like a stat squish. As for a squish, that's probably not going to happen. No surprise there. To provide context, the amount of work that went into doing the squish for WoW was enormous in caps and took an incredible amount of back-end retrofitting and over the course of more than a year to accomplish so that could be done again so that it could be done again in the future, right? So they designed it in a way so they could do it again. They did do it again, right? They did.
They're on like stat squish number 3 is about to happen, I think. Yeah, but they did do a second one.
Right. And so she says D3 doesn't have that luxury, even close to the same infrastructure, nor does doing so make a ton of sense when a new game is on the horizon. We want to make the most of what we have, but also recognize we have limitations, resource and otherwise, and how far we can go.
That makes total sense.
Sure.
I mean, I agree with it. But that just goes to the fantasy of if people want to be more powerful. And if there's a patch where all of a sudden you drop 25 greater rift levels, you're pissed and you're not going to play the game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you get around that.
Right.
How can I don't think they can. I think that they have to just use this magical 130 and try to justify that to people, and hopefully a lot of players weren't hitting that already, and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Diablo 3 is in a really tough spot, I think, from a community perspective right now, because one, it's getting compared against Path of Exile, which to me is arguably the number one game on the internet for getting content. So that
I'd say second to Fortnite.
Really, is a really, really tough competition to be in. And we know from BlizzCon, and we're not the first to leak it, but their dev team is like, it's really, really, really small, like single digits. So it's it's great we're even getting what we're getting at the end of the day. And it sucks for all of us that are big hardcore fans of Diablo that we're not getting more, but like, they're doing what they can. Right. But again, it does suck because you're like, well, what do you mean they're doing what they can? Like, they're Blizzard. They should have teams and teams of people but that's just not how it works. So
yeah, I think someday Jason Schreier is going to put an article out, man, on what happened with the D4 development years after it's out, And I really feel like the predicament we're in is because Diablo 4 was already scheduled to be out years ago. Like, Diablo 3 had this plan, it had this thing, they canceled the second DLC, and then they were probably like, okay, we got Diablo 4 in the works, it's going to come out in the next 2 years anyways, doesn't matter. And that time has long since come and passed, and then they've scrapped it, started over, whatever happened. And it's left us in the Diablo 3 fan base in this state of limbo that wasn't initially intended, I don't feel like.
Sure.
And so then I think, like, after BlizzCon last year, especially in 2018 BlizzCon, sorry, I think people freaked out a little bit. I think Blizzard didn't freak out. I think that they were like, we fucked up. We need to try to do what we can. And Diablo 4 production got ramped up, and Diablo 3 got a couple scraps thrown its way to maybe help, hold people over. And the guys that are doing it, man, it's cool that they're doing it.
Yeah.
So
totes. It's just, that's a tough comparison, right? At the end of the day, like, one of the best games for content on the internet getting compared to Diablo. Like, that's so tough. It's such a tough position for the game to be in. So like, a lot of people are like, oh, shitting on Diablo 3 and mega low, and they compare like, okay, PoE's got like 20,000 viewers and Diablo 3 directory has like 280. Like, it's just
well, I mean, Diablo 2 has got more people than Diablo 3 a lot of times too, but you got to take that with a grain of salt too.
Sure.
Like, the Twitch directory, those guys that have been there since day one have just a leg up. Like, you get somebody like Llama that's been in the directory for years and years and years. He's got 700 people that are going to come watch him fucking play, Mario Kart, on 64.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it doesn't like, he could play whatever game. So if he goes to the Diablo directory, now that's up 700 people. So it's not like an apples to apples, so to say.
Totally.
But it does matter a little, but it's not,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure if you had like all the big Diablo
it's just
boys
like, if Quinn comes back to the Diablo directory and there's 10,000 people in the directory because Quinn's in here, that doesn't fucking mean that Diablo's thriving all of a sudden.
Sure.
It just means that Quinn's big dick in the directory all of a sudden. It's so it's take it with a grain of salt, I guess. Sure. But yeah. What else do we got on this schedule, man?
Yeah, so like you said, we're not going to get the PTR. It seems like at least the patch notes aren't even coming until next week.
Yeah. Maybe. I hope. And
then this thing. Did you see this?
I saw this.
I don't understand. I actually don't understand.
I don't think there's anything in this. So I saw this after I saw other people tweeting other random shit like this. Like, it wasn't just Diablo. I saw this. I don't remember who else did this, but there was other companies and people that were tweeting weird shit. Diablo just took it to another level with the snakes and the dog and the can. Like, I don't know. Do you think that this is some kind of?
I don't
know. You think this is cryptic? You think this means something?
Someone in chat or someone on YouTube comments like, "What is this?" Like, so for you guys listening in, it's like there's 5 candles, which pentagram, like, that's Diablo's thing. And then there's like a worm, a dog, a goat, a chick, and a bee. And then Diablo says they're in a cult. I don't understand. And then Diablo replied to a Diablo with a cow. Oh, because a hidden cow?
Because he missed the cow? He forgot the cow?
I
don't think it means anything, man. I think whoever has the Diablo Twitter was just totally fucking around. And I would too if I had. If I had the account, I would do it. I would post shit and let people try to figure out nothingness. You know? But if you guys, leave your comments below and let us know if
maybe it means something.
It means if you can decipher something out of that.
Illuminati. So, good point. Yeah, I no idea what's going on there. Yeah, it's like there's like a whole Reddit thread of people like theory crafting.
Right, just trying to theory craft this thing. Dreadscythe posted some stuff on his
interesting.
Twitter.
I misunderstood it at first. So Dreadscythe posted I lost it. Let me find it. Yeah, so Dreadscythe posted a calendar. I thought like this was his calendar. I was like, what do you care?
I got it when I blew it up.
Right. But basically, he posted a calendar of the Anaheim Convention Center,
which is where they host BlizzCon every single year, if you didn't know.
And the first weekend in November, which is historically when they do BlizzCon, is taken.
Mm-hmm. Somebody else, and BlizzCon eats up this entire facility.
Right.
I mean, there's no extra room there. So it's not like we're going to share it with another convention or something. This is pretty interesting theory crafting, man. Some people have extra time on their hands, and I love that they do because I never would have thought to do this.
Yeah, this is smart.
So
literally the only weekends it could be. So like every weekend in November is taken, and every weekend in early December is taken. So really, the only thing they can do is either the weekend of October 9th, the weekend of October 16th, and the weekend of October 23rd.
That's amazing to me. Fucking get it away from Halloween. Get it away from Thanksgiving and Christmas, because this 2019 BlizzCon literally was the day after Halloween. It was the shittiest timing for people like myself who have kids. Like I missed taking my kids to Halloween to go to BlizzCon, and it was a huge decision that I had to make. I almost didn't go to BlizzCon because of it, because I'm like, fuck, man, I'm only gonna get so many Halloweens with my kids before they're too big to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know? So it sucks, man.
That'd be great if you had been invited and you're like, yeah, nah.
Yeah.
I've been like, fuck you, dude.
It was like this close, Fluff. I'm not even joking, man.
I know. We were having that conversation. I was like, oh,
my wife was like, you got to go. Like, it was honestly, I was like, I don't think I'm going to. And she's like, you got to go. And I'm like, all right. She kind of talked me into it. So,
Damn.
I hope so. I hope that's right.
Yeah, but that's
somebody else was saying that they think it's going to be. Can you scroll down on that picture? Does it have the things like Monday and Tuesday? They're saying like Monday and Tuesday, the 20 something of November. What do we got there?
23rd, 24th.
Yeah, I think they were saying that's going to be
the Thanksgiving week.
I know, right? If they do that shit, come on.
No,
they can't.
No.
They can't do.
Because there's people that like take the whole Thanksgiving week, right? Like they take the 3
days
off
after Halloween, dude. I mean, I wouldn't put it.
Halloween's just like it's a fucking kids.
Everybody celebrates Halloween in the United States, man. If you have kids, you do Halloween,
right?
And like most people have kids. Most people aren't Fluff.
God, yeah.
This episode of Fluff hates kids.
I mean, not wrong. Absolutely not wrong.
Could you imagine? Have you babysat kids before? Like,
so here's the thing.
Yeah, kids.
I never had younger siblings. I'm the youngest of 4.
That explains a lot.
And, honestly, if I really think back, all throughout growing up, I was like, man, like, I would not want kids. I would not want kids. And I always thought like I would grow into it. And I remember dating a girl in like my early 20s, and she really wanted kids. And I really liked her. And I was like, oh, maybe I could. Like, maybe like that's. But, it just never clicked. It never clicked. And so finally it came to the point where it was just like we split up because she really wanted it. I was like, I just can't. I just always somehow, I don't know. I've always known. It's not like a thing where it's like, one, I know I'm like too selfish probably to like take care of humans. But it's just that lifestyle, the whole lifestyle just doesn't appeal to me at all. I know it can be super rewarding. I get it. Like I see, like Quinn will post like tweets of his kid freaking out about something. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure. That's cute. And I'm sure that fills you with joy, like watching your kid just be like really, really happy about something. And it's like hilarious or whatever. But there's just too much, adulting that goes with that. Like I can't do it.
It's not for everybody, man. It falls in line with people telling you what you need to like or have. And like, I get it, man. Yeah. Like if you don't, everybody's going to tell you, oh, you don't know because you don't have kids. Right. You should have kids.
Right. When you have kids.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't have kids. If you don't want kids, you shouldn't have kids because then you're going to raise some fucked up kids, So, but it does bring you tons of joy. I couldn't imagine my life without it. But
yeah, that's what
everybody says. Note, I'm not going to tell you like, yo, you'll figure it out someday.
Right.
Like, no, that's fine. If you don't want kids, don't have them, dude. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But you've never babysat? You've never been like your sister? Did your sister, brother, or somebody have kids?
My sister has a litter. Is that right?
A litter of kids?
Yeah.
4 kids?
A litter of kids.
What's a litter? How many is that?
A fleet?
4, right?
I don't know. Squadron? Is that? I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, she's got a lot. And no, she doesn't have to babysit because like she knows I wouldn't want to do it.
Ever. Huh?
But she also lives like right next to my parents. She like leeches the free childcare all the time. She wouldn't even need me to watch their kids.
I got you. Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't if she. I'd be like, I'll pay for a babysitter. Need to
experiment this. We're gonna live stream fluff babysitting for like 8 hours one day.
Legitimately, never even held a child, and like it's a big deal in my family. Like my sister always she had a baby for a while, several babies at multiple times in her life. She's like, for my birthday, all I want is you to hold a kid. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind going my whole life, like being like, you know what? I've never held a baby. Like, no, I'm fine with that. I'm really good with that. It's terrifying.
That's a little weird, but okay.
Why is it weird? Why is it weird? I don't want to hold a kid.
You used to hold a baby.
No. I don't want to do it.
Are you scared of the value that you're holding in your hands, or is it just like I just don't want to?
Here I'll tell you a real quick story. Okay. So one, I've never really wanted to hold a kid because you're right. Like there is that I don't know how to hold a kid. Like I'm sure it's just fine, right? If I dropped a kid, what a nightmare! Like what a total nightmare. But it was my 25th birthday party or something like that, and my sister's husband at the time, like they had one of their babies, one of their litter, and he was a baby, and he was like, "How could you not like babies? Babies are so cute." And he's like holding it like this, right? And he's like, "Boo boo boo boo." Boo 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 boo, and he's like bringing it back and forth, and then he like holds it above, and the baby is going and the baby pukes right into his mouth, literally right into his mouth.
Oh no!
I was like, that is why.
This is your brother-in-law? Who is this?
At the time, it was my brother-in-law.
Yeah. He's an idiot. I mean,
Oh, so gross.
It's so gross. Man. I got stories like that too, but
what's the nastiest?
That's funny.
Give us just a quick nastiest you having kids.
Okay, so me being a brand new dad, this was with my first kid, and we had my daughter was like, I'm gonna say like 3 months old ish, and then my wife was like, I'm gonna go out with my friends tonight. This is the first time that she's leaving me with the child by myself. Okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. I got nope, no big deal, man. I got this shit, no big deal. She goes out. It's like midnight-ish, and the baby starts crying. I get the baby. I'm like, oh, she pooped. Let me go change this diaper. Okay. And I pick her up and I start to carry her, and then I realize that she's got shit like all over my arm and like my shirt because it was so much, it was like leaking out, right? And so I go and I set her down in the changing crib and I open her up and I look when I open the diaper, it's just like, it's like you took really thick chocolate milk and just poured it everywhere, right? And I have to clean this up. Like I have to figure out at midnight, like, okay, what am I going to do with the clothes? What am I doing with the diaper? How am I going to clean this shit up? And so it was a mess, man. It was a mess. So I ended up just like, I'm like, fuck it, we're taking a shower. And because she got shit on my arm and stuff too. So I just held the baby in the shower. We got a shower and washed her up, Boom, done. Yeah.
So gross, dude. So gross.
Yep. And then so I took pictures of my wife though. And but it was like I got set up because this was like the first night she's leaving. And this was like the first time the baby had done that. So it was just like this whole, like, oh, I got you, Dad. You think you got this? Hold on. I'm going to stockpile a little extra for you, So pretty funny, though.
Delightful.
Yes. We derailed so hard right there.
True.
You got a surprise for me today?
Yeah. So weeks ago, we said, chat, if you want to like redo our logo, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Because we're not attached to the one we have. It was like a Fiverr thing, and it was like a 2-week process just to get this like real basic
Fiverr guy
shit
was so bad
logo.
Yeah.
And so this guy, he made us some assets.
Okay.
And hang on, let me pull it up real quick. Oh god, what did I just do? I just disappeared you.
Fix me.
I'm trying. Where was it? Here?
I don't know.
Here? Where are you? Come back.
You got me below the image.
No, I got you above the image. Oh, you're right. Am I? This is the guest. Hang on. What? How did you get there? Okay, there you are. Found you.
Got me.
100% improved. Chat says, yeah, true. Okay, so boom. Check it out, dude.
Okay.
We got like
I like
a couple ones.
Okay. What else we got? I like them.
Yeah. And we got some like wallpapers. I'll shoot all the assets. We got some wallpapers for chat if you guys are interested. But yeah, I just did it out of the kindness of his heart, and we'll link this thing in the YouTube.
Who did that? You want to give me some shout out?
Yeah, it was. Hang on, I can't show the DM.
Yeah,
it was Luke Lagasse. Luke, our boy Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
So definite big improvement upon what we had, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
If anyone else in chat wants to make assets, go right ahead. We're always
if we
looking
don't
for
use
more.
them, don't get upset.
Right.
If we do like them, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's definitely I like it way better than what we have.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I do too. Like I said, like Fluff said, we went to Fiverr. This is, it was funny. Like the whole, if you look back now at the creation process and how we conceptually were like, we could do this, or how are we going to do this?
Right.
And so like, we need a logo, and it was like, we need a name.
Yeah.
I mean, the
name was hard.
It took us like a week just to get a name, I don't even remember other ideas we had, but, and then the logo, I was like, well, I don't know, man. How about this? And Fluff's like, I'll just get somebody on Fiverr to do it, man. It'll be cool.
Sure.
I'm like, all right. And this guy was like, Fluff's like, what did you say? It's like, I need you to juice this up a little, or spice it up, or make it. I don't know what.
If you talk for a bit, I could probably find it.
And he was like, okay. And then he sent you like basically the same logo. He just, I don't even know what he did to it. Like he shrunk it a little bit or something, or put the brick wall behind it or something. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, what are you doing? But it was interesting process. The name creation is by far, I think, the hardest deal. And then finally, neither of us were super happy with the logo. We're like, we're just gonna use it. Fucking
because it was like, well, it cost us $5.
Yeah, we didn't even pay the guy very much.
Yeah,
we'll throw a couple dollars, but
yeah. Oh my God. Oh, here.
Yeah, you got some.
I got some. This is the first one.
Yeah. Like, fuck no, man. Absolutely not.
What else we got?
My God. These are hilarious. If you guys are listening to the audio portion, you can't see them.
So goofy.
Yeah, you're like, no.
Like, it's not even like we play PC games. Like, a controller doesn't even really make sense.
Right.
Yeah. And then
same thing. Yeah.
We asked him to do it again. This is the second revision. I don't even know how this is different. Oh, because he got rid of the loop on the head, and the words were like the loop on the head.
He got closer with it.
I don't want to do it again.
I think after like so much, we were like, we've only paid the guy like $5 and he did like all these he just gave us a controller. We're like, what's going on, dude? So finally it was like, this is not like, this isn't worth his time or our time. So we're just going to use what he gave us. I think we ended up going with one of those.
Right.
So,
yeah. Anyway.
Interesting though. It's fun.
Yeah. So it's great being a creator sometimes.
Yep. And then Torchlight. You want to hit? Oh, you already got it up. Cool.
Yeah. So Torchlight officially announced they're kind of rebranding to, we had Torchlight 1, we had Torchlight 2, and then we had Torchlight Frontiers on their side. You know what? F that. We're going to be Torchlight 3, which makes more sense. 100%.
It does make more sense. That was a good move.
And they did, within this video, announce that they're going to be launching this year, which is crazy because we still don't know really much of anything about this game. We know that's like the zones are scaling and like you progress through them or whatever, and it unlocks more stuff. I didn't get, this is like one of the few things that actually this triggers me a little bit because I've baited like every ARPG out there besides Torchlight, and it's not because I didn't get the beta. I got into the beta, but my character couldn't even, like, I would click to leave a town and I couldn't. And I would like rubber band to where I was. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I like uninstalled the game, reinstalled the game. Same thing. And I like did all these troubleshooting things, but couldn't leave the town. Yeah. And like meanwhile, like Bloodchild was streaming it like the whole time and like having no problems. So I was like, what the fuck? Why? But if I'm being honest, the game, like, it looks smooth and
it does. It looks good, smooth and polished, man.
But there's 3 classes currently we know about. And one of them's like this robot warrior. And that's like, it's super gimmicky to me and it's very cartoony. I don't love that. Yeah. The other one is a guy where you literally have a mine cart following you around and you have to build its rail and like it does the damage basically. And you're just kind of like there to like support it. And like, you have to build the rail for it to go places and kill things.
I've seen that. I'm not going to pass judgment on it till I play that because nobody's done that I can think of. But I agree. I think from an artistic style, it's not what I personally would gravitate towards. It's not medieval. It's not futuristic sci-fi, which are kind of my 2 favorite genres. It's cartoony. It's like Fortnite meets, I don't even know, WoW or something. It's very cartoonish. Totally. And I don't hate it though. It does look good. It looks like a polished cartoonish. It looks smooth. Animations look smooth. Like the camera's not stuttering or shaking. It's super isometric. It's actually zoomed out a little bit. I like that too. Yeah. So we'll see, man. I really am interested in getting more info on this game. Yeah. I think this looks like it could have some promise to it. It could, depending on how they do the multiplayer and things like that. But yeah, the art style is definitely something you got to get used to, I feel like. But I think a lot of people had said the same thing. Like Lost Ark was beautiful, but it was a Eastern art style. It was more like Black Desert. It wasn't medieval and crazy. Sure. And that didn't bother me at all once I started playing. I was like, that's cool. True. True.
Yeah, I just hope, the classes, maybe the rest of the classes we're going to get, which I would assume is just like one more, because if it's going to launch this year.
Man, I don't even hold stock in that anymore. Everybody delays now. That's the new thing. True. 2020 is the year of delays, dude.
Right. But hopefully they have like more classes in the pipeline, because what they have now is just like not.
I would assume they do. I kind of just assumed that they did off the base. I was just like, this is what they're showcasing us. I didn't ever even think that they may not actually have more classes.
Right. I just only have 3 announced, and they have at least 1 slot on the website that's like announcing later. So I would assume just like 1 more, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it plays a lot. Have you ever played Guild Wars?
Oh yeah, like 20 years ago.
Okay, so Guild Wars, like,
you're talking about the MMO Guild Wars, right? Yeah.
Where it's like your progression was like to kind of like do all the things in the zone, and then you would like move on to like another zone, and then like progress out that zone, and like that's kind of how you like leveled and got more gear. And so, like, from what I've seen, like, this is just like that, but an ARPG.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, I played Guild Wars. Was that 2004? That was so long ago. I don't hardly even remember that game, honestly. But interesting. Did you
But
play
Guild
that a
Wars
lot?
2, I mean, I was very hyped. Like, I liked Guild Wars. I didn't play it crazy ton, but I definitely like had a max level character, and he was geared out. I had a Necro. Shocks. And then they Guild Wars 2 was coming out. And I remember being so hyped for that. Like, I was really, really hyped for that. 'Cause, like, it looked like a good game, and I still think the map animation on Guild Wars 2 is the cleanest map animation than any game. Period. It like zooms out from your character. It's like it's really clean. But yeah, like in clearing all the things on the map, like it can be fun. I assume that Diablo 4 will be a lot like that in a sense. But it just fell short for me. I couldn't ever get into it, and like there was no. It seemed like Guild Wars 2 should have been like a Holy Trinity game, and it wasn't. And like couldn't hold aggro on mobs, but it still felt like that MMO where like there should have been a tank and a healer, but there wasn't, and I don't know, it just didn't click for me. But Guild Wars 2 is doing very well still.
People still play that?
Yeah.
Oh,
and like
really?
Yeah, it gets revisited all the time, and everyone always says positive things about it. So I don't know.
It's kind of like RuneScape. People still play RuneScape too.
Yeah.
And it's like cool.
I mean,
I play WoW Classic, so what can I bitch about? I'm playing a 15-year-old MMO too. So.
I've heard it akin to like, okay, so Final Fantasy, the MMO, like people still play that and love that, and it's fairly popular still. I think Guild Wars 2 is almost as popular. I want to say. So
it's cool.
Maybe you other guys can tell us wrong, but yeah.
So something that's been going on with me, I have been getting absolutely harassed about playing PoE. Like, I don't know if it's like the jokes that we make on the podcast or people are just genuinely. It's funny how much it shifted. And 2 years ago, people were like, fuck PoE, man. I don't want to play that. And now I have people that I swear were like hardcore FPoE. They're like, yeah, man, you should come play PoE. Like, let's do it. And I'm just, and it's to the point where if I play anything other than PoE now, I literally get people stopping by my stream and like, yo, play PoE. What the hell? Why are you playing this? Play PoE.
Sure.
It's like, listen, guys. But, so I hear you guys. I hear you. I'm not saying that.
But hear you.
It brings me
Here comes
back.
the ThaPChild. We hear you.
We hear you. And then I can sit silent for a couple months, right?
Right.
SVR said something about PoE versus Diablo.
Yeah.
Right.
And so SVR was in like Riker's stream, yeah. Like last week. And one of the things he said I felt was pretty on point, and we talked about it in my chat, and everyone's like, yeah, totally. And I'm going to butcher this quote directly, but the gist is, if you have like 100 or less hours to play every season, Diablo is an amazing game, and PoE sucks. If you have like 500 hours every season, Diablo's a okay game, and PoE is an okay game. If you got like 1,000 hours every season, Diablo 3 sucks big time, and PoE is an amazing game. And I think that is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But I was curious what chat would think about that. So comment on YouTube. I think that was a pretty good synopsis. But speaking of PoE, we got some updates. So last week I literally said on the podcast, I was like, honestly, the only thing that they could really add to make this season better is like some quality of life map improvements. And then the day after the podcast, done.
They dropped it. Dropped it like it's hot. It's because they listen to the podcast.
Of course they do.
I mean, look at the map behind me. If you guys are listening on it, you can't see it.
It's not a map. That's the PoE skill tree.
That's the skill tree. That's what I'm saying. It's a skill tree map, dude.
Oh, skill tree map. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, I
you
thought
never called it a skill tree map.
You plan your build. I was just like letting
my
chat
build's
know.
already planned out. It looks like I have all the nodes filled out.
Yeah,
too,
you picked them all. It's a common mistake.
Gotta catch them all, right? Isn't this Pokemon? I thought different game.
You can't actually get them all, so you probably have to rework that skill tree. But it looks good. Good start, man.
Thanks.
But yeah, so like they did a huge quality of life update on the maps. It's so much easier to tell like what maps you've completed and blah blah blah. It's it's great. Love it.
Cool. Awesome.
What else do we have on the podcast?
That's really about it. I think we can hit up some some Twitter questions if you want. let's do it up, man. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, we take them every week. You can drop them at any time in my Discord, in Fluff's Discord, and on Twitter. I will check all three of those places right before we go live and gather all the questions up. So if you want to ask one, at ThaPChild, at Lord__Fluffy, or join our Discords.
Oh yeah.
The first question we have this week comes from Lord Swoldermort.
Whoa.
And he says, what are the top 3 things you will want Blizzard to copy from PoE and put into Diablo 4?
Oof, that's a good question.
That is a good question. I don't know if I've played enough PoE to actually have 3 things to put into it. I will say that from Fluff's feedback and from my own little experiences, I did like how every league's mechanic seemed to stick around, and it was like free content that they added. Because I've actually thought that the temple thing, what's the temple thing called?
Incursion.
Is that what it's called? Incursions. I thought that was okay. Now, maybe I didn't play enough to hate it, because a lot of people say that they hate it.
That's my least favorite thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but as a first time, like I had never experienced it, and I'm going in there and I'm getting lost in this temple, and I fucking died like at the very end of the final boss, and I had to redo the thing. Like, it pissed me off, but it was cool. It was an experience that was kind of cool. So the fact that that was a league mechanic from an earlier season that's still in the game to experience, I think that's cool that they are building on that and designing content around it, because that just makes your game fucking massive, right? So I think that's pretty cool. I'll go with that.
Okay. So, number 1, and it's not necessarily they're stealing it from like PoE. They're also stealing from Diablo 2. So, like the idea of gear being somewhat complex, like PoE, you've got 3 prefixes, 3 suffixes, and to roll something perfectly is very difficult. And it's the same way in Diablo 2. So I wouldn't even say we're stealing this from Diablo or from PoE. I just want to see itemization on a whole nother level. Like Diablo 3 is just way too simple, and having only like crit and crit multi in Diablo 3, like you have to gear it. There's no way around it unless you're Thorns, and it's like one build in the whole game that doesn't run crit and crit damage. That's just ridiculous. So the build and gear complexity of PoE, crafting, 1000% crafting from PoE. Like really complex, in-depth, dynamic, like decisions change based on what happens with the item, and like that is fantastic. The RNG, being able to like destroy something, right? To gamble your life away and just get screwed, have those highs and those, crazy depressive lows.
Yeah.
I think that's, it makes great streamer moments. It makes great, moments that you remember that stay with you. Like, I remember my first season in Diablo 4. I got this crazy chest. I've never gotten that again. This was so good. Like those are experiences you remember. And then just, tons of in-game activities. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Would you like to see them steal the soft hardcore XP penalty on death? Because I think that's kind of a punishment for softcore,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the death, the XP loss. I'm really not.
That's what I'm curious. Yeah, if you liked it or not.
It gets pretty frustrating, especially in a mechanically pretty glitchy game at times, like PoE can be. Like literally, we had a clip yesterday where my game was frozen, but it didn't like kick me out. But it was like letting me zoom in my camera, and I was like, well, this is pretty cool. Like I can zoom in, like everything was frozen. I could like see all the things. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then like it caught up like literally 15 seconds later. It was like a lifetime, and I'm like dead.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then I lose 10% XP, which at my level is like, that's an hour's worth of work.
Right.
So I've never been a big fan of that. But I get it. But I don't know. If you play hardcore, like you're into that, right? You die and you lose your progress. But like in softcore, I don't know that that's a system that a lot of people would like, especially if, we're trying to merge these two audiences of PoE and Diablo in the next genre of ARPGs. I don't know that the XP death is good. But again, if it's like
It gives the thing that it does, and I agree with everything you're saying, and I probably would lean towards not having it, but it does give you a little bit more of a high and rush when you're about to die and you're fighting a boss and you're genuinely a little bit more concerned. You're like, oh shit, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die.
Totally.
Versus like, and it's just
it
can build those crazy moments, I feel like.
You're absolutely right.
I hope D4 doesn't have any of those weird mechanics. Like, that's the worst feeling in a game, is dying and not knowing what happened to you, or have the ability to figure out what happened to you. Like they need.
You're right. Like, you're totally right. That's probably more than anything. It's not even like that I hate the XP loss. It's probably that, like, I feel like 90% of the time when I die, it's like, what? I don't understand. Like, and that's what feels bad. So 100%, it's good to have the XP penalty on death, because then you're not just zerging, and I'm all for that, because that makes sense to me. I'm with that, but you need to know why you died.
And it would be nice to be able to see on a combat log, like, have it break when you die. Put a button where you can click it, and it's like, you took this damage from this skill, this damage from this skill, that skill, that skill. So then you can sit there and at least look at a log and be like, I don't know what the fuck this ability is, but that's what hit me and killed me. So what is that? Let's figure out what that is. Or, I don't know, just a way to know, like, this is what killed you. Because I do agree, in any game, it doesn't matter if it's an ARPG or FPS or MMO, whatever. If you're just dead and you're like, what? How do you learn?
Right. Totally.
Hex asks, how do you feel about microtransactions in D4?
This has been like
microtransactions,
a big topic. So just this past week, everyone that's played PoE, like, gets it. Everyone that has played PoE, has put time into PoE, when you say the word microtransaction, they're like, yeah, sure. But it seems like if your microtransaction mental history is not from Path of Exile, it's immediately negative.
I can say 3 years ago, if you asked me the same question, my answer would be different than it is today.
Totally.
Because microtransactions, I think the very first time I was introduced to a microtransaction was in Guitar Hero. They added extra DLC songs that cost money. And I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, why am I not just getting these songs when I buy the game? This is bullshit.
Right.
And I was super upset about it. And I ended up buying a couple anyways, because I wanted the songs. But fast forward, and I think really Fortnite is what started to change it for me. And I don't really play it, but I think the pay to skin game, and in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, like, well, I don't really care what I look like. Why do I care? Like, I'll just be a default forever. But it's a way for them to make money for people who do care. And then you go to Path of Exile, and it's like, well, you can play our game for free, and it's a really good game. But if you want these currency tabs, you got to spend a couple dollars. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. Let me buy some currency tabs.
Sure.
And I did. And it's like, so I think as long as they don't sell power, I have totally relaxed on my stance on microtransactions, as long as there's shit in the game. But Diablo 4 is going to have a $60 price tag. It's not going to be free. So how does that change it for you? How does it change it when you're spending $60?
I'll tell you, one of the things I'm actually kind of willing to do. Okay, so one, I don't like it in the sense it's like it provides that initial gate for a lot of players, where if, like, maybe you're not an ARPG fan, maybe like, oh, I love BRs, I love FPS, and like your buddy's like, oh man, this new Diablo game's so good, you gotta try it. And they're like, but $60, like, nah, I can't. I'm not gonna spend money on that. Like, what if I don't like it? Like, that's just not worth.
See, and I have a perfect example of that. I am really intrigued by Escape from Tarkov. Like, I think that game would be fun as fuck to play, but it's $40 or $50. And I'm super scared to spend $50 on a game that I'm probably not going to end up playing. If that game were free to play and I liked it, I would probably support it with microtransactions.
Right.
And so, like, that's a perfect example of what you're saying. Like, I definitely want to play that, just don't want to spend the money to buy it.
But then from the other perspective of completely selfish reasons, and hear me out, Chad, don't hate me, but you have the pay to play gate, you're kind of fucking over the botters, because eventually botters are going to happen. And I know everyone's like, well, you can't build the game around. I get it. But if you have a pay-to-play gate, it can slow them down.
Yes. They're not going to keep spending money.
Right.
A free-to-play game has so many bots.
Right.
Because there's no repercussions. A VPN, mask your hardware ID. You can just keep creating accounts all day long, baby. Ban me. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I have a new account in 50 seconds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Destiny is suffering from that really, really, really bad right now.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny just went free to play.
Mm.
Back a couple months ago, they moved to Steam, and they went from a pay game to a free to play game. And you can compete in PvP for free. You don't have to pay any money to do that. And what's happening now is they didn't have any anti-cheat in place. When they went free to play, they're flooded with bots now. And people
in PvP?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And people are bitching about it because they don't have a way to combat it. And so, and I don't even really play Destiny much anymore, but that's just an example of how that pay gate does filter out some shit.
Yeah.
You know? And that's a good point that I didn't even really think about, you know? So
yeah, I mean it's always on obviously the forefront of my brain, because like, you know, I love Diablo 3, and in a lot of ways bots have completely like ruined the game for me. I still love Diablo, but throughout my history of playing Diablo, if you ask me, like, the biggest thorn in my enjoyment of the game has always been bots. And, you know, that's immediately where my brain goes to. So
yeah,
if you don't have that pay gate, then it can get pretty bad.
You better have some really good anti-cheat.
Yeah.
I think some transparency on anti-cheat stuff would be really cool too. I know it's like, I don't think they have to give their methods away, but I think if they were like, if they posted a weekly list of like, you know, we banned 15,000 people this week. We
like
banned 9,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just post a number. Like we got 20,000 cheaters this week, you know? And I think that's something, and that's not going to help tip the bots off, but I would love transparency in that department, because I agree with you. I think botting it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
The next question we have comes from Langdenberg. He says, did the developer blog teach you something new? I feel kind of disappointed. I wanted to see some more insight into patches to come, a roadmap. What is your opinion? You talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people were looking to this post to be like, you know, here's maybe the content. Like, you know, we see a roadmap for Path of Exile, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I think people probably expected something along those lines, unfortunately, because again, it's that unfair comparison.
Yeah, I think setting expectations properly is the problem we have a lot.
Yeah.
We're not going to get new content in D4. Like, I mean, we're going to get new
D3,
set classes. Yeah. D3, sorry. We're going to get new classes, or sets. Can't speak now. But we're not going to get new in-game activities. We're not going to get new things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be the case forever. So we have to just write that off now. But I wasn't disappointed. It just kind of told me information that I was already kind of privy to, I feel like. So for me, I didn't get a whole lot out of it.
Sure.
It was cool to see some of the numbers, but I'm really more excited for the patch notes that are upcoming. And I think this blog sets expectations going forward too. It's like, okay, you know, this is what we expect classes, if they're overperforming a 130, to get nerfed, and if they're under a 130 to get buffed. And I think that's an expectation we didn't have solid and concrete that now we do. So now when those Crusaders are hitting 150s, like, expect them to get nerfed next season and be okay with it.
I think if they come out with the patch notes and Necro DH didn't get buffed, it's sending a very confusing message.
Yeah.
Because maybe the long term that's what your plan is, but like,
and here's a thing: if they don't buff those two classes, then they should address that in the patch notes themselves, like in an opening article that they always put. Just be like, listen, you know, I know the blog post said this is the goal.
Right.
We have these other classes in our sites in the future. They didn't make this cut. Like, they need to explain that. I feel like if they don't, but. But that's kind of
You got to think that like at the very least you can just buff Pestilence, and it's just But I don't know anything.
What are you gonna buff on DH, man? Are you gonna buff Impale, or are you gonna buff?
Well, that's the thing is like
multi-shot's so good for T16.
Yeah, I was in like another stream, and they're like, well, DH is fine. Like they have rapid fire, and like that's really strong. I was like, but rapid fire to me is like one of the worst DH push builds of all time. So
it's one of the worst builds of all time. and hear me out, man. I think rapid fire as a skill is really, really cool.
They picked the worst run. They picked the worst run.
But it's fucking grenades, man.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about grenades. Like when I saw that they were buffing that several patches ago, I was like, yes, that's fucking amazing. Exactly. And then I saw that it was grenades, and I'm like, no, it crushed me. Man. So
totally.
Like I would be totally down for them to buff. That set, but not grenades.
Right.
Please.
It's the same thing with me and for the new Crusader set. It's like, man, now that it's like a Heaven's Fury set instead of a Fist of Heavens, it's like, it's so much less exciting.
We've already played Shotgun though, too. And I mean, I didn't play it a lot.
And you can still play Shotgun with LOD, like.
But I agree to an extent. Listen, the Crusader set was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. So I'm not gonna knock it because it was new.
Ish.
I do think it pigeonholes it really hard the way it's designed right now. And if they ever get around to maybe re-looking at that, I think that would be a cool thing.
Agreed.
But it also brings me back to the monk. The monk set I think is really fun, and with the frozen rune or the cold rune that explodes shit, that's really, really fun play style. But Tempest Rush is bugged, and it randomly will drop your Tempest Rush stacks sometimes. More specifically, when you're making really sharp 180-degree churns, it'll just drop them. But like I've had stacks drop, and I'm like, I was purposely doing these big swooping things, and that to me frustrates me so much that I won't even play the set. Like I'm just like, fuck it, I'm done. I can't take this bugginess. So they got to crush that bug. So I mean, I hope that they can get some resources to crush that bug. So.
I mean, if you're not planning on making a lot of DH changes, I think the easiest set to buff would be Shadow. For DH.
Yeah, because you can just add a couple extra damage to it, and it's fine.
Probably be fine.
And it's so powerful.
Yeah, and it'd probably be a great RGK. DH could be in the meta if it had more damage on Shadow. So maybe.
Exactly. Let's see. Maester Magus says, "What is a weird thing about your house that you just deal with? Like having to jiggle the handle on the toilet or lift up the handle to get a door to close. Got any weird quirks?"
So many things in my house. What do I have to deal with on my house? Well, it's not painted right now still because they had to tear the front off the house twice to tear out the windows 3 times. And I asked the builder to paint, but he's like, I can't because I'm in a lawsuit with your neighbor. He's suing me over the windows, and he says they still leak, so my front of my house is still not painted.
If he doesn't paint your house, you know that'll warp the wood, right?
So it's stucco.
Okay.
And
I don't know what that is. Was that fake wood? What the fuck is stucco?
Yeah, stucco's like, like mud-ish, I guess. I don't know what it is, really. If you were asking me, like...
So it's like clay or something. Yeah. It's got something on it. Okay.
But you can tell. I mean, like it looks bad before it's painted. So...
Okay. So no paint. What else you got? Is that your thing, or you got more?
My house has been a nightmare. But.
Yeah. I have like 2 things really that drive me nuts. One, after I moved into my house initially, I bought a brand new refrigerator when I moved in. I've been in this house 11 years now. Like 6 years into it, the refrigerator dies. Brand new fridge, dead after 6 years. What the fuck? Okay, that's fine. No warranties or anything, right? Just chalk it up as a loss. I go out and I buy this really nice Samsung fridge. This thing was fucking expensive, right? This super crazy fridge. The ice maker on this piece of shit fridge freezes up all the time to the point where they've actually have a class action lawsuit against Samsung because I guess they use the same design for the ice maker in like all of their fridges, and it's just a bad design. And so I would say every month ish, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. I have to completely disassemble my ice maker and thaw it out and get all of the ice out of it. Otherwise, it won't work.
Damn.
And it takes me probably an hour to do this. So yeah, probably an hour. And I had to get a hairdryer and like melt all the ice and then pull it out and disassemble it, unplug it. And so it drives me fucking crazy. And so I deal with that, and then I want to just buy a new fridge, but I'm like, dude, they're so expensive.
How much time is that like taking you? You think? Like,
I've probably done it like 15 times, I would say, at this point in my life. So
I could be a garage
10 to
fridge.
15 hours. I'm getting pretty fast at it now. I do have a freezer in the garage for like stuff, and I could get ice cube. It's just not the point. Like, you want your ice maker,
100%
maker to work.
I mean, I didn't have an ice maker my whole life until this last year. And it has been a game changer.
And it's nice, isn't it? You just walk up.
Yeah, dude.
So it's that's super frustrating to me. And there's like ways I could fix it. I think there's like these kits you can buy and like silicone the fridge. And I think I'm actually looking into do that because I just did it yesterday. That's why I'm so pissed off. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's actually like scrapes on my arm right here from prying the fucking ice maker out of the fridge. So yeah, it's a baller. The second thing is my house has squeaky floors almost everywhere. Like if you walk around my house, like a ninja could never sneak in my house. Like he would get caught because my floors are like as you walk around. And it drives me crazy. I don't know how I didn't notice it when I was buying the house. I probably wouldn't have bought the house if I had noticed it. But I bought the house and we moved in, and then like on the first night, I'm like, man, these floors are kind of squeaky, and I just never noticed it. And so when we got new flooring put down, I asked the guys, I was like, can we get rid of the squeaks? And they were basically like, they tried, but they're like, really, it's like, you can't, like, you're going to have to like rip the subflooring up and like do all this stuff. Yeah, the baseboards to fix it. Fuck. And I'm like, fuck, man. Yeah. So they did make it a lot better. They like glued the shit out of it and nailed it, and it's better. But yeah, squeaky floors.
Yeah.
That's what I got. So other than that, my house has been pretty good to me. Let's see. Demonic Grizz says, where did you guys go to college and what were your majors?
Fuck yeah, dude. So I went to 3 colleges. I went to Johnson County Community College.
Okay.
Get my associates. I transferred to the University of Kansas.
Nice.
For my junior year. And then I transferred to University of Mizzou. For my senior year. And then I got talked into doing a dual major, so I stayed another year. So
nice. I had a similar route, kind of. I got my associates at St. Charles.
Oh shit! College. I've been there, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So I got mine there. And then right after I got my associates there, I got offered the job I currently have. And so my initial plan was to go to UMSL and just finish there. And so I ended up delaying going to college for a couple of years and just took my job and made money and did all that. And then eventually I was like, I really want to finish this. So I took night classes and finished the rest of it at UMSL.
So what's your technically your degree? I guess we avoided that question. Computer science.
Yeah.
So I have a
computer geek.
Yeah. I think it's called Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science with a dual major in Information Technology and a minor in Mathematics. That's my technical.
Nice, my man. So that's mine was like fucking. It took me like I don't know 10 years or something. Really? It took a long time because I mean I did the associates really fast, but then the rest of it just a class or 2 a night, and then I take a semester off, and then do all that. So
I mean the average computer science bachelor's I think is at least 6 years. Like it's not a fast thing.
No,
it's a very difficult program if you guys are looking into it.
And I've never even applied it ever really. I mean I work in IT and that's what I've done, but it's not really this different. Like what I do now is more on just more of a networking side, and it's not even that. Like I don't know, man. What I do now is just so off the cuff, like just unique that it's cool to have, but it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, I got a degree in this. You know what I mean? So
yeah, people ask me all the time, like, do you feel like college prepared you? No, Absolutely not.
Mm.
The only thing I think college did do, especially computer science school, is it I feel like it kind of retrains your brain a little bit to pick stuff up like fast, maybe, and to think about things more structurally and logically.
I tested out of so many classes. Like I was just like, I already know how to do this. Can I just try to test out of it and buy the credits? And they were like, sure.
What kind of school you went to? I couldn't have done that.
I was literally, and there were so many classes where I was just like, I already know how to do this. Can I just, and I would just go take a test. And as long as you got an 80 on the test.
What the fuck college did you, what is this? You couldn't, you're like, yo, I'm not going to take Java. I already know Java. They'd be like, fuck you. You have to get the credits.
I swear, like you could just walk in and just test out it. If you like, let's say you knew Java, right? You could literally walk. I just went to the counter. I'm like, I already know how to do this, man. I do this as my day job. Can I test out of this and get credits? And they're like, yeah. You had to pay the fucking money. You still had to pay the $400 or whatever the hell the class would have cost you. And you had to get it 80%. You got like one try or some shit. And then if you got a good enough.
That's crazy. The only thing was like, I would know Java, and then that just meant that like I could just show up for the midterm and the final and be good. But I still had to like be enrolled and do all that.
Yeah. Craziness. Connor said, what two classes you wouldn't expect to get their sets in 2.6.8? I think he's saying, so what classes do you think we're not going to see? Guaranteed not going to see.
I think Necro will be last. I do say that time and time again because it is the only pay to play class.
Yeah, I agree with that, except for the fact that it just was the lowest on their list.
Yeah, but I think that there's things they can do in the interim until the new set to make Necro better.
I do agree. I think Necro's going to be last.
I think DH could probably be last as well, but then that would make this season 2 int classes. I don't know. But I guess there's no way of avoiding that, really, because if you do Necro, it's also 2 int classes.
Witch Doctor and Necro last because nobody cares about those classes?
Okay. First of all, don't associate my class season with the Witch Doctor. I don't want to. Whenever the Witch Doctor comes out, I don't want the Necro to come out at the same time.
Okay.
I don't even want those patch notes on my patch note board.
I got you. I don't disagree that, if they just forgot about Necro and just made another, you know what they should do? They should just make a second set class for Barb. You know what I mean? Like, just give Barb 2 and just forget Witch Doctor altogether. Just be like, we've allocated these resources. So listen, man, I came up with a theory for a Witch Doctor set. And I think everybody's going to hate it, except for me, because I don't like Witch Doctor. So I had to make something totally new.
Okay.
The set was, I don't remember all the details now. I did this like a month ago on stream, but you basically had fire bats, right? And the set would allow you to channel fire bats while moving.
Shut up. That's rolling.
Yeah, I know. That's what makes it fun, because Witch Doctor sucks. They don't have anything.
No.
While moving. And then it would get, man, what did I have? I had something else with it, like spitting out damage, and I can't remember what skill I had with it too. But I'm like, yeah, dude, give them a whirlwind build, and let it soak up that monk mechanic where the monk sweeping wind gets bigger. Like you could have the fire bats just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, I've always wanted Witch Doctor to be like, the spreading rot, like the locust swarm. Like if they were to make a speed farm build, like especially for torment, like it should just do insane amounts of damage and like spread. Like I always thought that should be how Witch Doctor farms very fast.
So cast it once and then like you just run through the rift and it just follows you.
Yeah, it just follows you and like the spreads, and it's cool to see it like spread, and like that feels good and it feels like plaguey. So
yeah, I'm kind of joking about this set, but kind of not. Like I think I actually did a decent job of making a fire bats that could be cool. We also talked about people were talking about like exploding cows. Was that it? Was that what it was, chat?
The fuck?
I don't know. Something about exploding zombies. Maybe it was zombie bears or something. I don't know.
Bears. Man. Yeah.
And so I started playing around with zombie bears. Like
that's
I tested all the runes and all the things. It sucks, man. Why would people want that? It's not a fun.
It's
zombie
cool
bears
looking.
Wasn't fun. No, dude.
Zombie bears,
really
zombie
not.
charger. The zombie charger runes are some of the coolest looking spells in the game.
No,
yes.
You just cut out for me. But I didn't think so. I thought it looked hokey and oh man, go look at them again. I'm telling you, just go revisit them and see if you still.
They're great.
No.
Honestly, so if we're picking next season, you can't do the summoners together, so I guess next season would have to be DH and Witch Doctor.
That makes sense. They were asking for feedback for those two classes, I believe, too, a couple months ago, weren't they?
Were they?
I think. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I know Witch Doctor was one that they had on there, and I thought Demon Hunter too. I think that's highly likely. So the question was, which ones are we not going to see? I don't think we're going to see Necro, and
I don't think
I'm going to go Necro and DH. I think next season, I think we're going to get Wizard, and I think Wizard's guaranteed. I think maybe we're going to get Wizard and Barb next season. That's going to be my choice.
Barb
if I were betting money,
juice. I don't know, man.
Barb did just get juice, but it wasn't a set.
People are loving Whirlwind, so you can probably let that go another season.
I would think so too. I think Wizard is definitely going to get one. I think it's going to be Hydra Wizard. That's just
now. People are going to clip that and be like, "Fluffy got our set delayed." On the Barb forums.
They fucking hate you anyways. Doesn't matter,
dude.
So what are you going to pair with? You're going to put two Clothies, two
DH
casters?
and Witch Doctor next. That's what I'm saying.
No, Wizard's going to be on there, man.
No. And then you could do Wizard Barb after that, and then Necro by itself.
Okay, maybe. I think Wizard's going to be on there. You want to bet on that?
What are we going to bet?
I don't know.
You have to play other ARPGs. Shouldn't even have to bet that. You're a co-host of an ARPG podcast.
Listen, when people Diablo make good 3. Ones, I'll start playing them, dude.
Yeah, Grim Dawn is a great one. You never played that. And PoE's fantastic. And
I've played PoE.
You've not played PoE.
And I played Lost Ark. And I played Diablo.
Lost Ark? And you tried Lost Ark and you liked it.
I did. Yeah. I never didn't think I was going to like Lost Ark. That game looked badass from the start. So. Oh, what else do we got? Let's see. We did that. Onion says, why are they taking non-seasonal Paragon into consideration for seasonal balance? I think because they're not balancing seasons.
Yeah.
Is what they're saying.
The TLDR from that, we broke it down a little bit, but like, one, don't forget about the 5K thing. But two, like, because seasonal themes sounds like going forward, they're never going to be like, oh, double goblins. That doesn't really impact the season at all. So like the only way they're going to get static data is through the non-seasonal leaderboard, because the non-season leaderboard has none of the buffs.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
It does make sense. It just stinks that that's their best quantitative data, because like I always say, the best players are probably not pushing non-season. And now you're definitely not going to push non-season because you don't want to get your set nerfed. Or
you might be that one guy that takes like a little bit of gets his jollies off by fucking other people over, like that one guy.
But that one guy is not going to bring up the average enough, probably.
I guess
it would take like a dozen guys probably.
Art Guy 302 says, what is the stupidest thing you've done to get the attention of a girl? My brother has done some really stupid shit, and I might tell some of his stories. I'm trying to think of something that I've done. Trying to think here.
I've always been pretty successful with the ladies. Never really had to try that hard.
This fucking guy. Look at him grinning over there. He's like, one time at band camp?
It's just a base fact.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll tell my brother's story while I think about something. I went to visit him when he went to University of Rolla, Missouri Rolla, which is a really prestigious like engineering school, but there's not a lot of ladies down in Rolla. Like it's the guy to girl ratio is pretty imbalanced, and so I go visit him one time, and I'm down there and we're hanging out, and he's like, we were gonna go to a toga party, and we're driving around, and as we're going to this toga party, we see like a frat house, and there's like all these guys were like jumping off of the roof of this frat house, landing on a stack of mattresses, like single mattresses, like not like king size. They were like singles, right? Like little bitty ones. And so we see this, and my brother had this girl that he was trying to date with us, and she's in the car, and he's like, yeah, let's go jump off this roof or whatever. And he was just totally trying to fucking macho and like leap off this roof onto this little bitty ass landing target. And so we pull over, and I'm like, all right, cool. And we go up there and we climb on the roof of this frat house, which is like fucking 2-story. It was fucking high, man. I don't know, but it was way up there. And I get to the top, and I look down, and I see this mattress, and I'm like, nope, that's a bad idea, dude. That is a really fucking bad idea. And so I like climb back in the window of the attic or whatever, like little hole, how we got on the roof. And he's like, dude, come on, man. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm good, dude. And I walked back down, and he's still up there. And then the girl that he's with is like, yeah, do it or something, like whatever dumb shit she said to like encourage him. And he's like, I fucking know he didn't want to do this, right? Like when you're up there, you're so high, and this landing pad was fucking tiny, and it's like it would have been super easy to miss this single mattress. And I'm like, she says something, and he's like, okay, and he like runs and jumps, and he overshoots the mattress, right? And so his butt hits like the very edge of the far side, and it hits and like slides off, and he basically like kind of hits the mattress and then ass plants in the ground. But when he did that, and so he jumped with his legs flat, like you were sitting in a chair with your legs straight, and he hits, and then his feet smack on the ground really hard because of the impact, and he breaks his ankle. He fucking shatters his ankle. And so he's trying to be super cool and like show off for this girl, right? So he's trying to act like that shit didn't hurt, He gets up, and he's like, I'm good, what's up? And then everybody like there's like a billion dudes out there. They're all like, yeah, whoa, and like cheering and clapping and shit. And so we go back to the car, and we get in the car, and we finish, and we drive, and we go to this toga party, and he's like dancing on a shattered fucking ankle all night trying
oh
to
my
show
God,
off for this
dude.
girl. And so the next morning we wake up, and he's like, yo, come check my ankle out, man. I think I should go to the hospital. And I go in there, and it looked like his fucking torso was on his ankle. It was so big. Yeah, it was nasty. So
gross.
I got a whole bunch of him, man. I don't know if I have any where I've done something too stupid. I was talking to a girl in high school, and this I ended up dating her, but her dad was into Corvettes. That's how I got into Corvettes. And she was driving her dad's Corvette in like a parade we had at the town. And I was like talking to her, and as she was driving by, she was like looking at me, and I waved at her or whatever. And I actually made her wreck her dad's Corvette into the back of a float because she was talking to me instead of paying attention to where she was driving.
Nice.
Pretty
nice.
bad.
Yeah, I do have one actually. This is the only one I can think of. Literally the only one. I think we kind of talked about it on the podcast before, so I'll make it super brief. But like I worked at a fireworks stand one summer, and like there were girls there, and I was in my younger years and was super jacked, and so like I took off my shirt and was like working on. We're basically putting up these firework tents, like these big logs, and I'm like, like hammering in with the sledgehammer, and like, I'm glowing and glistening, right? And and so I'm looking good, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, yo, yeah, dig it. And I got sunburnt so bad that my skin bubbled.
Ooh.
And I couldn't work there anymore. Because
you knew like when it was happening, like once you realized it's already too late, but you probably felt the sting, right?
Yeah, I felt the sting for sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I know I'm getting burnt, but like, man, it's bad. And like put my hand back on my neck to like
just fire.
To test, and like my skin like almost melted off in my hand.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
So did it work? Did you get numbers? What happened?
I had to like leave, and then I never went back because like they're like, if you're in the sun more, you'll fucking like you'll get poisoned. So
what happened to that guy?
Right. So
what happened to that idiot that didn't put a shirt on?
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like Jack. I was like, yeah, cool, but I also was like still a gamer, so like I would never went outside.
Okay. You're pretty pale.
Pretty pale dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody in stream reminded me maybe my letter. Yeah, I wrote a love letter to my wife. I don't know if I was showing off, but I was definitely.
Yeah, we still don't know why that happened. You gonna tell us one day?
Oh no, I made her pretty mad at me though. You know.
It sounded bad. Whatever
Yeah,
it was.
she was mad. She was super mad.
Was it when she found out about the like generic message thing that you were shooting out?
Oh no, not at all.
No.
Okay.
No.
Damn. That's it, man. That's all the questions
Easy.
we had this week. So thanks for hanging out, guys. Enjoying the podcast. If you guys want to submit questions, again, join our Discords. Hit us up on Twitter. The links will be in the YouTube video. If you're watching live, you can !Discord or !PChild or ThaPChild and get those. And I will see you next time. If you want to find more of me, you can search anywhere ThaPChild and find me.
Yeah. Lord_Fluffy, double those underscores on the Twitter. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.